If you are booking a Caribbean cruise in 2026, picking the wrong itinerary could completely ruin your vacation. Because let's be honest, you picture stepping off the ship onto a quiet, tropical paradise. But at some of these ports, you're walking straight into an overcrowded tourist trap, an industrial dockyard, or a chaotic mess that wastes your entire day. So today, I'm ranking Caribbean cruise ports from the absolute worst to the undisputed best, based on feedback from thousands of cruisers, and what actually matters: crowds, convenience, safety, and overall vibe. And fair warning, this list gets controversial. So before we get into it, drop your favorite port in the comments, and let's see how it stacks up, because this ranking might surprise you. Let's get into it. The commonly disliked ports. We are starting at the absolute bottom, with the ports that, honestly, most veteran cruisers actively try to avoid. Unless you have a bulletproof excursion already booked, these are the destinations where staying on the ship and enjoying an empty pool deck is highly recommended. Kicking off the bottom of the list is Freeport in the Bahamas. To be fair, Freeport does have its charms if you plan an excursion, but let's not sugarcoat it. If you don't have something lined up, stepping off the ship here is one of the most underwhelming experiences in the Caribbean. You aren't greeted by swaying palm trees and pristine beaches. You are literally staring at an industrial shipping yard and warehouses. To get to any beach actually worth visiting on Grand Bahama, you're forced to hop in a taxi and spend a good chunk of your port day just traveling. Without a solid tour plan, Freeport feels like a wasted stop. At number 16, we stay in the Bahamas, with what might be the most controversial pick on this entire list: Nassau. Almost every cruiser has been here, and it's the ultimate rite of passage port. Some people love it, some people hate it, but let's talk about the reality. Even with the massive, beautiful terminal upgrades over the last couple of years, the core vibe of Nassau remains exactly the same. It's chaotic, it's busy, and it's packed with people trying to sell you something from the second you step off the ship to the moment you leave. Sure, there are major highlights like the Atlantis Resort, and Junkanoo Beach is just a 10 to 15 minute walk away. You can literally see your ship from the sand. But for the vast majority of cruisers, the constant hustle of Nassau is just downright exhausting. It's one of those ports everyone should probably experience at least once, even if it doesn't end up being a favorite. Coming in at number 15 is Ocho Rios, Jamaica. Now, let me be very clear. The excursions here are world-class. If you are heading out to Dunn's River Falls, the Blue Hole, or going river tubing, you're going to have some of the best adventure excursions in the entire Caribbean. But if you try to just wing it, the port area itself is incredibly tough. It gets overwhelming fast, with aggressive taxi drivers and tour sellers waiting right outside the gates, which makes a lot of cruisers feel pretty uncomfortable. Ocho Rios is the ultimate example of a port that demands a plan. If you have an excursion, you'll love it. If you don't, it's a port that can easily leave a bad taste in your mouth. The polarizing and planned ports. Now we enter the most divisive section of the list. These are the polarizing destinations, where your experience completely dictates the rating. Talk to 10 different cruisers about these stops, and 5 will say it's their absolute favorite day of the trip, while the other 5 will tell you they never want to go back. The deciding factor here comes down to one thing: how well you plan. Coming in at number 14 is Costa Maya, Mexico. Let's be honest, this is often a least favorite for seasoned cruisers because it's a heavily commercialized, cruise-built destination. A lot of people find the immediate port area artificial and fake, since you're essentially walking into a small village built specifically for cruise ships. Because of this, Costa Maya frequently becomes a stay on the ship and enjoy an empty pool kind of day. That said, there are some genuinely cool highlights if you know where to look. Right in the terminal, you've got experiences like Mayan healing rituals and even massages, so you can experience a bit of the culture without leaving the port. And beyond the terminal, there are excursions to Mayan ruins and beach clubs that can absolutely make Costa Maya worth visiting. It's not the most authentic port, but it can still be fun if you plan it right. The massive talking point here is Royal Caribbean's ongoing takeover to turn this into perfect day Mexico. The classic Costa Maya experience as we know it is changing, meaning this port could look very different in the near future. At number 13, we have Bimini in the Bahamas. Visually, this tiny island is breathtaking, with some of the most crystal clear turquoise water you will ever see. And it's actually located just about 50 miles off the coast of Miami. Most cruisers take the tram straight to the Resorts World Beach Club complex, which feels like a full resort experience, with pools, restaurants, and a lively atmosphere. Especially if you're sailing with Virgin Voyages, where access is included, and the day often turns into a big beach party. If you're not on Virgin Voyages, you'll need to purchase a day pass to access the beach club, either through your cruise line or at the gate, but they can sell out quickly. Beyond that main hub, there isn't a ton of adventure on the island. You can rent a golf cart right when you arrive and explore on your own, which is a popular and easy option. But overall, Bimini is more about relaxing than packing in activities. That's really what defines this stop. It's one of the most laid-back and relaxing ports in the Bahamas. But if you're looking for a wide variety of excursions or things to do, it can feel a bit limited. Number 12 goes to Roatan, Honduras. This lush green island boasts some of the best snorkeling and diving in the Caribbean, and if you are into marine life, you will absolutely love it. Roatan rewards planning more than almost any other stop because the experience really depends on what you do. Cruisers who stick with structured excursions or beach clubs can end up having an unforgettable day, while those who step off the ship and wander beyond the more curated areas without a plan may find parts of the island feeling rough around the edges and less polished. Areas near the ports, like Mahogany Bay, are nice but very curated, and that contrast is what defines Roatan. It can be unforgettable, or it can completely fall flat. Wrapping up the polarizing and plan-dependent ports at number 11 is Puerto Plata in the Dominican Republic. This port has come a long way in recent years and is generally well-liked right now because of the new high-end Tiano Bay and Amber Cove terminals. The terminals themselves are the destination. You have massive pools, shops, restaurants, and even a lazy river at Tiano Bay right at the dock. You get a completely easy resort-style day without even having to leave the port limits, which is a big upgrade compared to many other stops. While the area outside the gates is still developing, the real highlights are beyond the port. Excursions like the cable car ride up Mount Isabel, visits to nearby waterfalls, and exploring the historic streets of downtown Puerto Plata add even more to the experience, making it a rising favorite for many cruisers. The strong and reliable ports. These are the definitive crowd pleasers, the destinations that consistently deliver solid, authentic Caribbean vibes without requiring a stressful military gyro itinerary to have a good time. They are strong, they are reliable, and they almost always guarantee a great day in port. Coming in at number 10 is Cozumel, Mexico. Cozumel is arguably the most popular cruise port in the world, and for good reason. It offers a ton of things to do. Honestly, it's also a bit of a victim of its own massive success.
For frequent cruisers, repeat fatigue is incredibly real here. We all know it has crystal clear waters. And if you book a fantastic all-inclusive beach day, like Mr. Sancho's, with unlimited food, drinks, and beach time, or take a guided excursion to the ancient Mayan ruins, it's a highly reliable stop with excellent service. But it lands at this spot for one specific reason. If you get off the ship without a plan to optimize your port day, you're just going to end up wandering around a generic, crowded shopping area right at the terminal, surrounded by bars and people pushing you to buy trinkets. Don't get me wrong, it's a great destination, but you still have to plan ahead and put in a little bit of logistical effort to escape the immediate tourist traps and make the most of your time there. At number 9, we have Bridgetown, Barbados. When you first pull in, the industrial cruise pier itself isn't exactly winning any beauty contests, and you can't just step off the ship onto a pristine beach. But unlike the shipping yards of the Bahamas, the payoff here is incredibly genuine and totally worth it. You don't need to book a massive, expensive excursion to have a great time. It just requires a tiny bit of navigation, either a quick 20-minute walk or a cheap taxi ride. Once you make your way over to Carlisle Bay,
you're rewarded with an elite, authentic beach experience that easily outshines the minor hassle of getting there. The bay boasts some of the most pristine water and soft sand in the entire Caribbean. Barbados feels authentic, the locals are welcoming, and it's a fantastic, reliable beach day that really rewards cruisers who are willing to take just one small step outside the immediate port zone. Number 8 goes to San Juan, Puerto Rico. This port is a massive win for history and culture buffs, even if it ranks a bit lower for pure beach seekers. The absolute beauty of San Juan is how easy it is. You can walk right off the ship and instantly step into the magic of old San Juan, with its colorful cobblestone streets, stunning Spanish forts, and an incredible food scene, including grabbing a drink right where the pina colada was born. There's so much to explore on foot, and that's exactly what makes this stop such a consistent highlight, and even a reason on its own to book a cruise itinerary. It's not really a beach day port, but that's part of the appeal because it offers something completely different from the typical Caribbean stop. Plus, as a massive bonus, since Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory, you can usually take your phone off airplane mode and use your cellular data and service, though you should still check with your carrier before you go. You can even walk right across the street to a Walgreens if you forgot any essentials. It's an effortlessly beautiful, culturally enriching, and incredibly easy day in port. Taking the number 7 spot is Grand Turk in the Turks and Caicos. This is the undisputed king of the low-effort, zero-stress port day. If you want a paradise with absolutely no complex logistics to manage, this is it. There are no buses to catch, no exhausting piers to walk down. In fact, there's barely a pier at all, and you can literally step off the ship and walk straight onto a gorgeous beach with incredibly soft sand and crystal clear water. Right there at the dock is a massive Margaritaville with a huge swimming pool that's free for cruise passengers to use. You don't need to buy anything to jump in, and there are plenty of places to grab a drink or just lounge by the water. It might not be for hardcore adventurers looking for deep cultural immersion, and there isn't a ton to do beyond the immediate area, but if you want a day where your only tough decision is whether to sit in the sand or the pool, Grand Turk delivers that perfect relax and recharge vibe every single time. The elite ports. These are the undisputed heavyweights of the Caribbean, where having a bad day is practically impossible. These destinations have mastered the port experience, offering upscale, safe, and culturally rich environments without the constant stress. If you see these on your 2026 itinerary, you've hit the jackpot. Coming in at number 6 is Georgetown in Grand Cayman. To get right to it, people absolutely love this island. The beaches are stunning, and the overall vibe is spectacular. But it has a massive flaw that keeps it out of the top 5, the port logistics. There's no cruise pier here. You have to anchor offshore and take a small ferry boat into town. And honestly, that tender process really hurts its ranking. On a bad multi-ship day, that process can eat up 45 minutes just to get onto a shuttle boat. And that wait alone is enough to hurt the vacation vibe. Hating that delay is one of the most common complaints you'll hear. The island itself is flawless, home to the famous 7-Mile Beach and incredible Stingray City excursions, which make it totally worth the hassle. Just make sure you book a ship-sponsored tour or grab your tender tickets the second they become available to beat the rush. At number 5 is St. Thomas in the U.S. Virgin Islands. On paper, this is an elite destination. You have some of the most famous beaches in the entire world, like Megan's Bay and Sapphire Beach, plus world-class duty-free shopping, the famous cable car, and incredibly easy independent exploration. You can hop in a taxi and be at a beautiful beach in no time, or head up to the mountaintop for incredible views and the island's famous banana daiquiri. But it ranks a bit lower here because it's notoriously crowded. With the sheer volume of sailings in 2026, When you have 5 or more mega ships docked at the exact same time, the island's infrastructure gets pushed to the absolute limit. This pristine tropical paradise can quickly turn into a massive, frustrating traffic jam. If you're the only ship in port, it's pure magic. But if you're there with 15,000 other cruisers, you really have to optimize your timeline to beat the crowds and pack your patience. Number 4 goes to St. Martin or St. Martin, depending on which side of the island you're on. Simply put, this is the fun port. It's arguably the most well-rounded and diverse stop, offering a fascinating blend of Dutch and French cultures on a single island. Navigating is a breeze thanks to the cheap and incredibly efficient water taxis right at the port. But what really sets it apart is Maho Beach. Standing on the sand while jumbo jets land literally feet above your head is an unmatched viral thrill and a bucket list experience you just can't get anywhere else. You can also head right up to the fence and feel the jet blast as the planes take off, which makes the whole experience even more intense. One quick tip: check how many ships are in port that day. On busy days, places like Maho Beach can get seriously crowded, which definitely changes the experience. It delivers a perfectly high-energy day with the ultimate mix of great beaches, fantastic shopping, and unique thrills, truly offering a little bit of everything. Coming in at number 3 is Bonaire. This is the purist's paradise. Bonaire isn't flashy, and it's not going to give you a massive manufactured resort experience, and that's exactly why veteran cruisers absolutely love it. It's noticeably quieter, less commercialized, and has a wonderfully laid-back vibe compared to the other heavy hitters. For snorkelers and scuba divers, it's the undisputed champion of the Caribbean, with world-renowned reefs. But even if you stay on land, renting a golf cart to see the wild pink flamingos and the massive sea salt fields baking in the sun makes for an incredible day. Those salt fields are created by pumping seawater into large flats and letting it evaporate in the sun, leaving behind the salt, a process that's actually really cool to see. It only sits at number 3 because it caters so specifically to nature and underwater lovers rather than shoppers, and it lacks that big resort-style experience. But if that's your vibe, it's completely unbeatable. At number 2, and honestly almost tied for the absolute top spot, is Curaçao. This island delivers what I'd call a core memory port day, offering a level of authenticity that heavily touristed cookie-cutter ports just can't match. It's one of the most colorful and charming places you'll ever visit. You can walk right off the ship and immediately head into downtown Willemstad, where the Dutch Caribbean architecture and waterfront are absolutely postcard perfect. It's a stunningly beautiful, highly walkable city that completely avoids feeling like an artificial tourist trap. What makes Curaçao so special is that it lets you take in a huge amount of culture on foot, while still leaving time later in the day for something like a snorkeling excursion. It also feels more authentic because fewer cruise ships make it that deep into the Caribbean, so it doesn't feel nearly as overrun or touristy as places like Nassau or Cozumel. And finally, taking the undisputed number 1 spot on our list is Aruba. Aruba is the absolute crown jewel of the Caribbean and the gold standard for a hassle-free port day. It's the closest thing you'll find to a truly perfect cruise destination. Because it sits so far south in a desert climate, you're practically guaranteed sunny, dry weather year-round with virtually no rain.